Welcome everybody, I'm here with none other than Cody Bugan, the dirt dog himself. And today we're gonna talk about, can you do land deals on your own? So sometimes land deals seem a little bit intimidating to explore, especially when you're doing it by yourself. Can you do it by yourself, and what does that look like?
Well, I would say absolutely you can do it by yourself as far as being a one-man show. But land deal is a very broad term. So my specific model as far as raw land that has development potential and getting it through those governmental approvals, you absolutely can do it as a one-man show. But I would strongly discourage you from trying to come into this space without being educated. Because I can tell you right now, with the change in the marketplace, there's a lot of people that came into my space that were uneducated that are in the corner crying right now. And so I would just be careful about doing it uneducated.
What does that education look like? I mean, I know a lot of people learn on their feet as they do these deals. So what would you say? Obviously you have your own programs and stuff, but as someone coming into it, where do they start?
So when I started doing this back in '02, I did exactly that. I went into the space, someone uneducated, right? And I made a lot of mistakes, left a lot of money on the table, which is great, right? We learn through our failures, right? So, you know, it separates the winners from the losers is those that will fall and get back up versus those that won't. But I can just say over those, 21 years, I learned a lot. And so that I know of, there's no one else in the space educating. So, I mean, if you ask me where to start, I'm not trying to pitch you here, but I'd say start by going to Vestrite and getting educated.
Yeah.
Because it's going to give you the foundation you need in order to not make a lot of those rookie mistakes.
No, that makes sense. In terms of, obviously, even if you are, a one-man show, you're still working with people. You talk about working with title companies. Obviously, like, it's good to know, like, your local real estate people, your engineers. Who are kind of part of your team, or your frequent collaborators that you use a lot?
Well, that's a great question, because one of the things that I appreciate so much about our model, and the reason that so many can do it as a one-man show, is because the reality is, as far as what we teach, as far as taking raw land and turning it into approved developments, your consultants do 90% of the lifting, right? So, and it's mainly your civil engineer, right? So your civil engineer is the one that does the majority of all the work. You're just there to kind of oversee, right? You're there to pay invoices, but when you have the ability to outsource, and not only the ability to outsource, but it's actually the way the model works, it's the way the industry works, it makes it to where being a one-man show is very, very doable.
That's awesome. Yeah. And so when you started, who were like the first people that you needed to meet in order to make these deals happen?
So I was fortunate enough when I started, because before I went and started my own business in '02, I was in the trades. So I was in the floor and counter industry. And so what happens is a lot of the big home builders / developers in my particular marketplace at that time, I already had a relationship with them. Where I would suggest anybody start is by building those relationships. And it's actually very easy to do. And the reason I would say that's where you start is because why guess on where I should go or what size projects I should do or so on and so forth. Just allow your potential clients or customers to tell you what to do, right? Or what they're looking for, or what they want to buy, or how they value deals. And so, and don't get intimidated by that, because at the end of the day, they don't care whether it's you or me, right? They don't care whether it's you or my company, Allied Development. At the end of the day, you are deal flow for them. So you're there to serve them, to bring them value, so they want to get to know you.
So I guess in some ways, when you're in the industry of land development, you're serving a couple people. You're serving like your city or your county, right? Because you're helping them bring land into the city. You're helping give houses or residential spaces to more people, and there's a huge demand for that. So you're serving the city by helping develop the area. You're serving the future tenants of the spaces that they'll be inhabiting. Yeah. And then you're serving developers. Do you have any other advice of do you just start with maps, or where do you start with?
It's because you were talking about the different people we serve.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, I think the question you're asking is how do we identify the markets that we want to do deals in?
Yeah.
It's really simple. There's more migration happening right now in our country than ever. right? So we can talk about states like Texas or Florida or Tennessee or Georgia or Arizona or wherever, right? It's pretty simple. Go type in Google the fastest growing markets in the country, and more than likely that's where you're going to want to do deals. And the beautiful thing about our business model is technology today. Like I just did a webinar recently called Laptop Land Deals, because you literally can do our business model virtually. You don't just have to do it in your backyard. Now, if you want to do it in your backyard, great. Even if your backyard is not one of the top markets in the country, there still could be opportunity for you to do very well there, and you have an advantage because you know your backyard better than I do, right? But you don't have to. Remember I mentioned civil engineer a moment ago? Your civil engineer is your boots on the ground. So just go hire the best civil engineers in different markets throughout the country. They're your boots on the ground. They're the ones that have the relationship with the jurisdiction. So the best way to answer your question would be either your backyard, if there's actually opportunity. If not, go do a Google search and figure out the top markets in the country.
All right, so quick recap. You can't get into land deals by yourself. It takes a lot of networking and it takes a lot of knowledge. So if you guys want to learn more about how to get into land deals, click that link below. It'll take you to VestRight, where it'll have tons of courses and options available for you to learn all of the terminology and where to get the maps and all of that stuff. Anything else they learn on VestRight?
Well, I mean, they learn how to do what I do, how to take raw land and turn it into approved developments. And that's where the magic happens. That's where the paydays are.
Perfect. We'll see you guys on the next one.